Hey guys, it's Dave Whichard, President, FFL Velocity. Welcome to Warrior Podcast by Velocity. We're so glad to have you on today. And I've got a special guest with us today, Esther Knight. Say hi, Esther.
Hi, how's everybody this morning?
Good. I love your hair.
Thank
It's really
you.
But yeah, so Esther, I had a chance to meet Esther a few months back. She was actually with her brother in that day, and John, and John's VP with our company and growing, like really, really growing. And obviously Esther, they work together and doing some amazing things. And Esther, you tell us a little bit, just a brief, the background of your story. I mean, here's what I want to tell you. One of the reasons why I reached out to her is I've been watching her, and she's a leader in so many ways. And what I mean by that is, like, she helps with our dial team and things like that. But then watching her success, and just this past weekend, she protected over 20 families in the weekend, I believe it was, right? Does that sound right?
It was 12 families, actually.
12. Okay. Well, so it's probably 20 over 2 weeks, and I don't know. It's a lot, but I mean, I've seen that consistency though. I mean, it wasn't just this weekend, but it's been week in, week out pretty much for a while now. So, but if you could just tell us a little bit about how you came to Family First Life, and just a little bit about your background so people know who you are.
Yeah. So as I had stated on the last podcast that you and I had together, and thank you so much for allowing me to talk with you today. I actually came from the hospitality industry. So hospitality has been the thing that I've known for probably 20 years of my life in my career. So I did have a part-time position with a practice company doing some supplemental stuff, supplemental insurance. So I was kind of very, very new and very green when it came to that. But I knew that I did love people. And so transitioning full-time into just protecting people with life insurance seemed like it just aligned really well for me. And I have to tell you, it really has become my passion. I've been doing this for a little over a year now. And I love it even more every single day. I've learned so much from this. I've developed myself internally and externally behind this. So, but that's pretty much my story there.
So you talked about internally, how you feel about it. Like, I think in our industry, it's like when it gets inside you, like the insurance business as a whole, especially life insurance, because it's so, I don't say fragile, but it's a when we're there for those families during that time, it's a very emotional time, right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of times when we're talking to these clients, they may have lost someone, they're concerned about that, or whatever, they filled out a form. Could you just talk about some things that you've run into that maybe has caused you to get that internally?
Yeah. So I can tell you, over the course of that year and a half, I've had probably 3 or 4 policyholders pass away. I've spoken with their beneficiaries because they called me because they needed to file the death claim. So to me, that became emotional in that moment. And I can just tell you, from the past weekend, one of the gentlemen that I met with was legally blind, and sweetest man I've met. Very, very sweet. We actually met at a restaurant and we went through everything, and I saw him there with his cane, and he moved around so well. And he just wanted to protect his daughter. He's like, she's in a different state, she has her own family, but I just want to make sure that when my time comes that she's not burdened by that. So I just adored that, just the fact that he was so independent, even though, he was legally blind. I mean, he actually met me there. He walked there. So that was a really big deal. And everybody that I meet with right now, if they have grandkids, their dogs, everyone that I connect with, I can tell you something personal that I learned about them, their dogs' names, I spoke to their wife. I'm actually starting to build, just a name and a reputation in, my county. And so sometimes I'll be driving down the street headed to an appointment, and I'll see one of my policyholders outside, watering their grass. And so I'll stop off and, hey, how are you doing? And this has really happened. So I have them call me all the time, to ask how I'm doing. But this weekend was super impactful. with some of the folks that I sat down with. When I talked about the internal thing, there was a gentleman that I protected, him and his wife, and he is 82, and he actually is still working 60 hours a week. And I think that, we have to understand that our jobs really right now are to serve other people. And I hear you say that all the time, you need to have a servant's heart. That is what this has transitioned into for me. That's why it's become a super passion of mine. I used to kind of be on the surface, and I'm not going to lie. I think I used to, compare myself to what a lot of other, top producers were doing, what other people were doing. And when I stopped doing that and just focused on what am I doing for, this individual? How am I caring about them? How am I showing love for their family? For what's to, end up happening, which we know death is inevitable. I think that's when I turn the corner. And like I said, it's just an energy that flows, when it's time to go to work.
Man, that's there's a lot of stuff in that. I really enjoy that, hearing what you're saying. You mentioned about your clients and stuff. I'm assuming you probably get a lot of referrals.
Yes. Oh, yes. So I am a diehard gym person. So I actually missed it this morning, but I'm going to be heading there later. So, but I have a gym family. And so those guys in there, a lot of times I'll just be talking to them about what I do. Hey guys, I'm a life insurance broker. I can help you. Do you have life insurance? I know you have work life insurance, but you have to understand, that's not permanent. That's not private. That's not yours. A lot of the people I know there are 1099, so they're running their own businesses. So they have to get something like that set up. Hey, if you have life insurance, that can leverage your financial situation, or your finances in general when it comes to your business, So I've been talking to a lot of them. They're telling their friends and family. I basically had like a crowd of people around me on last Saturday before I was headed out, just letting them know that, this is what I do. And so they were telling me that they do have life insurance, but it's actually with their car insurance. And, they didn't think that they had the right kind of coverage, and they've been talking to other people. So we're already setting up meetings here and there. So his son and his daughter-in-law were there. And so he's yelling across the gym, you're going to get life insurance with her. And so I'm sure other people overheard that. So I'm just realizing right now it's time to bloom. I do try to do some recruiting whenever I'm there too, because for me, I'm still trying to work on the social media. I'm still a very private person. But anytime I get a chance to talk about what I do for a living and how I protect people, I mean, that's where I'm finding those, opportunities. So, and then of course, with a lot of the clients, I always ask them, do you have, your kids, do they have younger kids? Because I can tell you for myself, my mom lives with me. I have a son that's 14. God forbid something happened to me. My mom at almost 80 years old is going to be taking care of my son. How is she going to do that if she doesn't have, any money? How is she going to do that if she has no financial backing? So I tell a lot of the families that I sit down with, because I'm talking to grandma or grandpa, what are your children going to do? Do they have some type of coverage? I've seen situations where they didn't come home and you're the one that's there with their children. And so what are you going to do when you have to get those kids through junior high, high school, college, so you have to have some type of financial support,
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I think, and that's our job, right? To help people think through that, right?
Absolutely.
What that looks like after something happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned something about social media, and I think a lot of people, I mean, I don't say a lot of people, but people struggle with that, right? They're not big on there, and it's like, it's not about me. I heard Sean say this one time, and he said, and I'm not saying this is you, but I'm just saying in general, I heard him somebody asked this question, said, like, if I'm putting something on social media, especially for like what you did, 17 families over the weekend. Of course, I shared your stuff with wherever I could. And it's not about us. It's almost like a selfish thing. And I'm not saying you're selfish. I'm just saying, because I know you're not. But that's how I want you to try to look at it is, if you're impacting people in a gym or you're impacting things, you could literally tens of thousands at that point, because you can get up to 5,000 friends. Then you have Instagram, which can grow to whatever. And so the impact that Esther can have on the world, as you know it, can be even bigger, is what I'm trying to say. and it's your brand. It becomes your brand. You are your brand, if you will, within the FFL system. So I just, think about that. And there's obviously, we can help you with that and however you want to do it. But that, it's like we have I don't know if you know who Elizabeth is down in Dallas. She calls herself the insurance lady. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah. So she did a podcast with me, and I thought that was super cool. But I always know that's who it is. Like, I know who Elizabeth is, but if I didn't know her, I'd say, oh, that's the insurance lady. You know what I mean? So it's thinking of something that works for you,
Yep.
But anyway, so going back to, what are some things that you say on the phone that you maybe run into, somebody you dial the phone that's helped you overcome getting in front of somebody that might help somebody?
Well, so I can tell you that being a part of the dial team, at first I was super apprehensive about it, just because sometimes it's more about worrying about who's critiquing what you're doing. And, if you get hung up on, that's going to happen. That's just what it is, and we're dealing in quantity anyway. So when you have enough leads and you're going through and you're talking to people on the phone, typically, I know there's a script that, they have for that. And I've actually had to flex between a couple of them just to make it make sense for me, because sometimes when you're working in certain areas, it looks different. So usually whenever I call, we already know that they requested the information. Some people might have been ashamed about the fact that they were looking into it. Some of them were, upset because it was really expensive. So, we have to deal with the emotion that comes along with, them seeing something that might have been too expensive, or didn't think that they were going to be able to get covered, or saw that because they had health conditions that shot the price up. And so what I do is I obviously have to keep it very much monotone. That's one big thing that they talk about, is, trying to be monotone. And so usually whenever I'm coming on the line, it's just, hey, Dave, this is Esther. I'm the medical field underwriter for Pinal County. I actually just received the request that you put in. It looks like earlier today you were looking into some life insurance, and I'm actually just the underwriter that was assigned to get in touch with you on that coverage. Were you able to find what you were looking for? Sometimes I just start asking questions right away. That way it doesn't give them a chance to think that, oh my goodness, what is she doing? Is she trying to sell me on something? Is she a telemarketer? I think that the tonality really allows you to come across as somebody that cares, because you do. I do care. It's not really about, personally trying to push somebody into a decision that, maybe they're apprehensive about making. And so, that's what's helped me out the most. And I've had some people just openly say, well, you know what? Yes, I really do need coverage, but I can't afford it. Right now, unfortunately, we're in the middle of a recession. There are some people that can't find, the money. And so, we have opportunities to help them out, from a credit standpoint. Maybe we can help you with unsecured debt. Maybe we can free up, some of your monies, with the Empowering America, program. There's so many ways that we can help. So when I come on the line, I'm there to support you. It's not about pressuring you into doing something. And I think that comes across, to people. And I think that's very important. So I think that when I tapped into that in the tonality, and just realizing that, you are going to have some people that say no, and you're going to have some people that say yes. And there's going to be some people that you can guide in other ways. I actually had, on one of my dial sessions, I had someone that just got their insurance license and or is working to get their insurance license. And so I told her about the opportunity with us. And so she's like, you know what, I just need like 2 or 3 weeks, and, stay in contact with me. And this might be another person that, can be a part of this family, So, I think it's just looking at each person you talk to as an opportunity on the phone to make a difference. And like I said, I think that's really changed the game for me. So.
How many are you dialing just those 2 days, or are you dialing other days as well?
Oh, right now I've actually changed my lead strategy. So I've been getting the majority of my leads from Smart Financial. I actually was doing a lot of the FFL CRM, which I still do, because those are my fillers. So I'll buy from there as well. But the Smart Financial, I do get those leads every single day. So what I'm finding is that they're in real time. So I'm actually calling them as soon as I get those leads come in. So the way that I'm working is that I have leads coming in on the dial days. I also have leads coming in on the weekends because the weekends are powerhouse for me. Like I said to you, I was able to protect 12 families this weekend. I'm already up to 17 now because I had a couple that I worked with yesterday over the phones. So, I mean, at this point, what I'm finding is that particular lead vendor is allowing me to be able to close over the phone as well. And then I'm able to book those appointments, going out. So today I have 4 appointments. Hopefully I'll be, protecting some families today too. So this, in fact, could be over 20 families, this week. So I'm really excited about it. One thing I do want to say, Dave, is I think in this business, you've got to have a lot of faith, because before I started having these breakout weeks, I really had to develop more of a faith base, because, you can do the work, but then, you have to let God, whoever you believe in as a higher power, to do the rest, because we're only human, so as long as you know that you're working and you care about people and you truly love people, it's all going to come together. So this for me is a super emotional time. I remember when I first protected 10 families, I'm so sorry, when I had protected 10 families, it was exciting because I was going from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. And, I was like welling up with tears, because it's like knowing that I'm making a difference, and each person that you walk into the home with is different. That was huge, because even in my, former profession, my career, I mean, you were making a difference in hospitality, and that was an everyday thing. But this is just so different, because of the fact that, we may be here tomorrow, we might not be here tomorrow. I mean, that's the biggest part of it. And seeing how death affects people, especially when they're not prepared for it, it's just so incredibly, moving, and it's crazy. So, mm-hmm.
Well, I love your heart. I love your faith and all that. I do think that it does matter. I mean, not that, we're trying to preach anybody, but the truth is, I think when you have that, and we pray about something, or, hey, we want this to happen. If we put the action behind that and allow God to bless it, I believe that's how that works. And I'm excited for you and what you got going on. And people need to work with you. I mean, people watching this like, hey, can I work with Esther? Yes, you can. And I think that's the other thing about, social media, is people need to know who you are, and be able to be attracted to your personality. Hey, I'll work with Esther, right? And you deserve that. You're working hard. You teach a lot of people. What are maybe 1 or 2 tips that, as we kind of, over the next 5 minutes or so, 1 or 2 tips that maybe you do in the home? And I love the fact that you're doing hybrid. Like, we can use a lead for either way. Like, if we can get them on a Zoom, we can call them, over the phone, or we can go see them. So anybody watching this, I think that you can work from home. You can work, in the field. I like personally seeing people in person myself.
Yes,
but at the same time, if we can't get to them, we still want to take care of them. So could you just maybe give us a couple tips and maybe some things that you do in the home that have helped you?
Well, I can tell you that it's great that, like you said, you have the flexibility to do to protect a lot of families over the phone. But what I find is that the in-person experience is unmatched. I mean, right now I've had people that, some of my clients are a little bit older, so they're not as savvy with how to work the computer and how to pick up the emails and how to read through, some of the applications or review. And so to be able to tell them, hey, you know what, I'm coming to your house, I'll be there in 20 minutes, is a big deal. It's a super big deal. And I can tell you that a lot of the folks in just this past weekend that I had been talking to, they started off as over the phone. And because, they've just been busy and they had other things going on, I actually was able to just get in the car and go straight to them. So some tips I would say is, you obviously, want to offer both. I mean, because some people are not comfortable with people being in their homes. So I just tell them, I'm happy to, take care of you now, or if we want to get this over with now, we can do this now. Or, we have the option of me meeting with you in person and making sure that you understand, because what I've noticed is sometimes whenever we're talking about something to someone over the phone, it's easy to be distracted. It's easy to not really hear everything that's being said. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a 2-year wait period. Oh, this is a level, plan. This is what's included. Oh, this is building cash value. This is what this looks like. Sometimes that information doesn't translate well over the phone. So sometimes being able to show them that through an illustration, or just at least showing them, okay, this is the type of plan that you have. This is going to also have cash value. We can add the accidental death rider. I mean, those types of things, when you're looking eye to eye, really does make a difference. So, I mean, I would just say that, my biggest tip is probably just, to offer the opportunity to come to them. Most of, my base is right here, local. Even, whether it's in Phoenix or, maybe an hour to an hour and a half out. My county is pretty big, and I work, 3 solely that are around each other. So it's probably like a 2-hour, commute sometimes, but everybody's worth it. I mean, that's how I feel, and I think that
100%.
that's really what this is about. Someone's struggling, I'll go to them. If they're able to do it over the phone, great. And even if we did, take care of something over the phone, if I'm going to be in that area working, I still can come by and see you, because I need you to know that I'm a real person. Sometimes just giving the license, number is not always, for some people, it's not tangible in that way. So like seeing a face.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see your face, and congratulations ahead of time on protecting over 20 families this week. So I know that's going to happen. And
Thank you.
just keep doing what you're doing, serving people with a servant's heart, and you just can't lose here. Right.
Absolutely.
As we wrap this up, just tell people how they get a hold of you, so we can, if people want to work with you or have questions, want to reach out to you.
Okay. So if anyone would love to join my team, you can reach me in a lot of different ways. I'm actually on Instagram as Queen E1832. That's Queen E1832. My phone number is 717-773-1832. I mean, if you want to join a team that works hard, that loves on people and that really wants to make a difference, I'm definitely the person you want to come and see. And a lot of people do know about my hospitality background. And a lot of them know that I worked hard in the industry, and I've worked in so many different states doing the same thing. So.
Well, Esther, it's been a pleasure as always talking to you. We love you, and we appreciate your servant heart,
you guys too.
Everything you're
Thank
doing
you.
to grow the business, serve family. So, guys, thanks for being on the Warrior Podcast today. I know this made a difference in a lot of your lives today, and that's all we're trying to do, is just help people get better here and give you some information that you can see. I mean, background that she has coming here after you're having the success. Now, she's had success prior to this, but it's been a process, right? And she's just doing really good. So thank you so much for sharing today. Thanks for being on the Warrior Podcast. We look forward to seeing you guys soon. And again, thanks for make sure you subscribe if you can, and catch up to us. We have a leader podcast we do on Saturdays, and make sure there's so many things within FFL that you just don't want to miss. So keep your eyes open for all those things. Thanks so much.
Thank you.